Are you ready for another episode of Couch Time with Sonja? I know I am. Today's episode is all about overcoming adversity.
And not just simple adversity, life-threatening adversity. Both of our guests have had to fight, but you know what? They didn't fight alone, and I can't wait for our audience to get the opportunity to hear all about it.
We are going to learn so much about overcoming.
One person at a time, I would definitely say, you always fight something in life, right?
Absolutely.
We both have fought particular things in life, but both of these particular guests fought illness in their body. And it's not just simple things.
Right.
So I can't wait to talk about the miracles that have happened. But you know what? As we always say, we want you to go and take a break real quick, grab your coffee, grab your tea, and get ready because you're going to be glued to the TV. It's going to be awesome. We'll be right back.
Ready for Couch Time with Sonja.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. If you've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world, we can help.
Now they're Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonja.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
CEO Delia Davis is making history by becoming the youngest African-American female to own a television station in the nation. Along with her colleague, President Crystal Holmes, these women are becoming a part of the 1.3% African-American television station ownership. Get ready for iconic television, an all-new channel coming to your TV on KVVV Channel 15.10. Covering Houston's local inspiration, entertainment, health, wellness, fitness, family, visual artists, comedians, and more. Streaming 24/7 on iconictelevision.com. Be sure to stay tuned for the latest and greatest on Iconic Television, where everyone can be iconic.
Are you ready for Couch Time with Sonja?
We're back. Are you ready for these stories? These are really going to touch your life because they really touched ours. Let's welcome our first guest, Candace Washington.
Gorgeous.
Hey.
You are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Girl, come on, sit on the couch.
Yes, look at that outfit. My goodness, you are looking good.
Thank you. God is good. Yes,
Amen.
He is. He
Yes.
really is. Well, we know that we've kind of already pumped up the miraculous in your story, but I just want you to start really with your story matters. We want to tell you that first and foremost, but we want you to start from the beginning because our audience needs to understand truly the miracle that you are sitting here today.
Okay, thank you. Well, the beginning, I will preface this by saying everything that I know of my story up until a point is what I've been told because I don't remember. March 18th, 2011 is when I had to undergo emergency brain surgery. Prior to that, that was on a Friday. The weekend before, I had moved into my own apartment. Prior to that, I had been sharing an apartment with my mother, moved out into my own space. On Wednesday, I guess that would have been the 16th of March, I didn't show up for work. And my job called me and they were like, you know, where are you? Your 9 o'clock meeting is here. And I'm like, it's Saturday. What do you mean? Like, why would I schedule a meeting on a Saturday? You know, I'm moving today. That's what I told them. And they were like, no, you know, today is Wednesday. You moved over the weekend, remember? And I'm like, no, I'm moving today. And from there, from what I understand, I proceeded to go to U-Haul to try and get a moving truck because I thought it was Saturday. I thought it was moving day. And I called my boyfriend at the time and, you know, told him, hey, I'm going to pick up the U-Haul. He was a different kind of person, so he thought I was joking and, you know, playing with him. And so he kept hanging up the phone on me. And so on my way to U-Haul, my car ran out of gas, and I was just sitting in the middle of the road, just sitting. And you know how sometimes you can't tell that a car is stopped until you get right up on them?
Right.
So a car was coming, because I was in a lane. A car almost hit me, and he slammed on his brakes and, you know, got out of the car to say, you know, ma'am, what are you doing? Why are you sitting in the lane? And I told him, well, my car just stopped. And he said, okay, well, we got to get you out of the lane of traffic, you know, because you could cause an accident or what have you. And so he helped me, or however he did it, move my car off onto the shoulder. And my boyfriend called back as this was going on, and he was able to tell that, okay, something really isn't right. You know, she really did think she was going to U-Haul. So he came with his father to where I was. Don't know who this gentleman was that helped me move my car. He left and don't have any idea who he was.
Still to this day?
Still to this day, have no idea. So, angel from God.
Yes.
And so my boyfriend and his father came, and they were looking all under the hood of my car, trying to figure out what was wrong. And then finally he tried to start the car and realized the car was just out of gas. And so from that point, he called my mother and was asking her, you know, does Candace have, you know, bouts where she just can't remember anything? Like, this is really strange. And so my mother came, and she put me in her car and was taking me to the hospital. My boyfriend was going to, you know, fill up my car with gas, get it back to his place, and we'll deal with that later. So as my mom was driving me to the hospital, our county hospital, I had a seizure in the car with her. And of course that unnerved her. So she pulled over, called 911. The ambulance came and got me to the hospital. When I got there, they determined that my glucose level was really, really low. So that's what they thought was causing the seizures. And they got that stabilized. I'm still having seizures, just continually. So finally they did a brain scan, and that's when they discovered that a mass was growing on my brain, and I would need to be transported because this was a county hospital. They couldn't perform that kind of surgery.
Now, did you have medical issues prior that would have alerted someone?
None.
None.
None. This was totally a fluke. What my parents later learned from the doctors is that this mass, whatever it was, could have been growing since my infancy, but I had never had seizures before, never had anything that would have suggested that this would happen. So I don't even know, I'm sure I was having seizures before that Wednesday, but I was by myself, and you know, I can't remember, and no one else knows, and so we don't really know.
Do you remember having any other signs and symptoms, dizziness or anything?
Nothing. Wow. Apparently, I think I had a bruised eye when I got to the hospital, and so the thought is that maybe at some point I had a seizure, fell, hit myself or something, but I don't remember, and no one else was with me that can say whether or not that happened, but that's the only plausible explanation. So after they found the mass, I was transported overnight to a medical center in a neighboring city, and had brain surgery 6 a.m. That Friday morning, and by all accounts it went well. You know, they removed the mass, and I came out of surgery fine. I had visitors were coming to see me, and I knew who everyone was. I was talking with everyone, you know, just kind of, it seemed like everything was okay, but I still continued having seizures. And so the doctors are like, well, you know, why is this happening? We removed the source of the seizure. Why is this happening? And so pathology, by that time they had sent the pathology for the mass to what is called the tumor board, which is comprised of top pathologists in the country. None of them could identify what it was. It wasn't a tumor, it wasn't cancerous, so the only thing that they can say is that it was a collection of cells of unknown origin. And that's all we know that it was.
So at what point do you remember?
I remember bits and pieces of my last couple of days in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And so when you add to that the week before I got to the hospital, there's about a month I don't remember. And so I remember bits and pieces of the last couple of days, and then when I was transferred to rehab, I do remember that whole process. But everything up until that point, I don't remember. And then, you know, once the doctors weren't able to identify why I continued having seizures, while they were still trying to figure that out, I started crashing and coding. And they had to rush me into a medically induced coma to save my life.
So for those that don't know, what does crashing and coding mean?
My vitals just dropped. I literally, you know how you see on TV when people start to flatline. I don't know if I flatlined, I don't think but I just, everything just started to tank. Blood pressure, everything.
To make it very simple and to really just be really honest and frank with it, you were dying.
I was dying, yes.
It's really...
very point blank, yes, I was dying. And so in order to save my life, they had to rush me into a medically induced coma. So that got me stabilized. And from there, they determined that they needed to kill my brain activity for 24 hours to allow it to reset, sort of like a battery, you know, when you put a new battery in something. Because even though the mass was no longer there, my brain was still functioning and performing like it was there.
Because it had been there so long.
Because it had been there so long.
Wow.
And so the first drug they tried was not pentobarbital. What's the Michael Jackson drug that he died from? No, not fentanyl. I can't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the drug that he passed away from, that's the drug that they initially tried to kill my brain activity. And it didn't work. And I laugh at that today because I tell my parents, I'm like, that's me. I'm always thinking. So, you know, like you're not going to stop me from thinking. My brain is always going. But that didn't work. And so the next drug was pentobarbital. And they were reluctant to try the pentobarbital because with that drug, unlike with the other drug, they can't control when you wake up.
Exactly.
And so with pentobarbital, once they stop administering that drug, when you wake up is when you wake up.
Right.
It could be a week later, it could be an hour later, it could be a month later. The doctors have no control over that, but that's what they had to do.
Wow. The depths of all of this time, and you don't even remember.
Nothing.
I will honestly say the miracle of all of that is you had to trust. You were totally in the hands.
Absolutely.
Not really of the doctors.
Not really.
Really in the hands of God.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And man, there's so much more to her story. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Ready for couch time with Sonja.
Connect with fellow millennials, creatives, professionals, and entrepreneurs within the all-new millennial community. Join in and get connected with local events, volunteer opportunities, and mentorship programs with the next generation. For more information, visit themillennialcommunity.com and become a member today. Membership includes access to special events, networking events, and civic engagement opportunities. Check out our online calendar for upcoming event opportunities, such as Millennial Think Tanks, community building events, the new Sea Live experience, and much more. Members will also be invited to join an online membership group, have opportunities to pair with local students in the Houston community for mentorship programs. Follow us on all social media platforms and get connected with the millennial community today.
Are you ready for couch time with Sonja?
We're back. Today we're going to continue our episode on overcoming adversity, and not just regular run-of-the-mill adversity, but life-threatening adversity. We're going to continue with Candace Washington, who left us at getting ready to go into rehab after your surgery. Let's pick up there.
Yeah, so after the doctors were able to kill my brain activity for 24 hours, my brain did reset. And I'm very happy to say and blessed to say that I haven't had a seizure since then. So all glory to God for that. And that was almost 8 years ago now. I was transferred to rehab where I was inpatient for 2 weeks, and that was an experience. Whereas I don't remember anything from the hospital, really. I remember rehab. And it was a challenge. I had to learn how to do everything again. So when I say everything, you know, I had to learn how to walk, had to learn how to swallow, because for so long I was on a feeding tube. And so, you know, I was like an infant. You know, I lost, I think, 70 pounds when I was in the hospital. And so while I'm in rehab, I'm grown, you know, telling myself, oh, you know how to walk. You've been walking your whole life. You know, I would get out the bed because my mind is telling me, you can do this. You've been doing this your whole life. Get out the bed and fall. Wow. And I'm such a determined person that did not, the one time wasn't it. Like, I kept trying and trying. I was determined. I'm going to walk. I know how to do this. And I ended up being declared a fall risk.
I could still see that. I could see them putting signs on your door.
I'm not waiting on nobody to help me do something I know how to do. Like that was my attitude. You know, I know how to do this. And I couldn't though. I didn't have the strength anymore. My muscle mass was just depleted. I was in a hospital bed for 3 weeks, and I couldn't do anything. And so they had to put an alarm on my bed so that every time I got out of the bed, someone had to disable that alarm. So that kind of kept me, but it was after falling several times, trying to get to the bathroom and not making it. It was all of that. I had to learn how to think again. I remember my first session with a speech pathologist, and she asked me to name in 1 minute as many fruits as I could, and the only fruit I could name was apple in a minute's time.
You know, you don't think, those of us who haven't experienced that, don't realize what the challenge must be, even mentally, because you couldn't physically do all the things that you've done your whole life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was totally dependent, and I don't like to be dependent. Yeah. You know, that's just not my personality. I'm an independent person. I like to help other people do things. You know, I don't like to be the one to need help, and to do something as basic as walk, to do something as basic as bathe myself. Right. You know, just little things that we all do every day and take for granted because we do them without thinking about them.
So did they take you in stages of your growth? So did they really say, okay, Candace, we have to go back to the beginning and start taking you in stages, and as you continue to grow, that's how your rehab went? Or
they did. So, you know, I worked with a speech pathologist every day and slowly was able to regain the knowledge and the thought process that, you know, I had. I worked with physical therapists every day to regain strength. You know, they have a whole regimen and routine that you go through when you're trying to relearn how to walk and regain strength, and walking with, you know, the parallel bars, holding on to those. But I wasn't even strong enough to hold myself up at the beginning. And so a lot of it was being held up by someone else or by a harness to, you know, just get in the rhythm of walking again and trying to regain my strength. And slowly, you know, I started taking steps like stairs and having to go through that. I remember my equilibrium was very off. I couldn't, when I finally did start being able to walk, I couldn't walk straight. I was always drifting. And so that was, the recovery was in stages, even for me, you know, from trying to just be able to stand and not fall. And then to walk, and then to walk straight, and then to take stairs. And, you know, it was all in stages for me as well.
Because I know that you are a believer, and a strong believer at that the correlation between the struggle in rehab and you having to push, but also you having to be vulnerable. I really believe that has such a correlation to how we walk through as believers in our life. Would you say that there was correlation there? And then really, what did you learn during rehab, even about your spiritual life?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So I will say that at the time that I was going through this, I had kind of lost my way. And I wasn't as strong of a believer as I am right now. And, you know, the correlation that I see is, you know, even then, God never left me. And no matter where we are in life, in our walk, he's always there.
Yes.
And, you know, that's the beautiful part of it. He's there himself. He's there through other people. I learned that it's okay to need help. Right. It's okay to depend on people. Even the strongest of us will need somebody at some point, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say,
yeah.
I'm going to repeat that. You said all of us will need someone at some point in our lives.
All of
and
us.
we should kind of put aside that pride if you need help.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will all need help at some point.
Yes.
And that was a wake-up call to me to, you know, give myself permission, I guess, if you will, that it's okay to need help. It's okay to not have it all together, because there are times where you won't have it all together, whether it's of your doing or not of your doing, because I had no control over what happened to me, but, you know, it's okay to not have it all together.
That's so good. And just that nugget of knowing that we all are in that position sometimes to need help. But as women, sometimes that's where we struggle.
Absolutely.
We struggle with that we want to have it all together all the time. I know I'm speaking from experience of really, truly wanting to always have it together, and I can do it. But what's wrong with saying I need help?
Nothing.
That's how God created it too. If we could stand alone, there would be no need for us to even need a friend, a sister, or even need him.
Absolutely.
So how powerful.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your honesty in
Thank
saying
you.
that as
Thank
well.
you.
But now at that time, you were not as strong as you are today.
I was not.
So let's talk about that journey from you knowing that that was a miracle to now where you are today, standing. And because I know that we know you personally, but the power of God has been amazing in your life.
It is.
Tell us a little bit about where you are today.
I really try my earnest best to live according to God's will and his word and what he wants from me. And it's challenging, because what he says ain't always, what he tells me to do ain't always what I want to do.
Amen on that one.
But, you know, I've learned the value in obedience.
Yes.
And
yes, Candace.
you can't be God-giving when you're obedient to what he calls you to do. And this transformation in my spiritual life did not happen until I moved back to Houston 6 years ago. I had to get out of this. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from the environment.
Right.
I had to, that environment that I was in, it was my comfort zone. I had to leave. And leaving was the best decision I've made for me, because of how it's grown me as a person, how it's grown my spiritual life. I used to always question until I figured out my purpose, which didn't come until I moved back to Houston. I always questioned, Lord, why me? Like, why did that have to happen to me? Because it's not something I would wish on anybody. And I know now that it was for him, because he had to use that to bring me back to him. And there's a scripture, Philippians 1:12, all the things that have happened to me were for the furtherance of the gospel. That when I read that the first time, I was like, this is why. This is why me. This is why me. And ever since I had that realization, you know, it just, I walk now in purpose, both the purpose God has called on my life, but also the purpose of being obedient to his word and his will.
Well, truly, I know that your purpose of sharing your story has blessed Delia and I both, and I know that it's blessed you as well. One of the things she has done is use her voice, and she's used her voice to make sure that she's changing lives, one person at a time. I am grateful to you because, of course, you have a ministry as well.
Yes.
And so I'd love for you to share just a snippet about your ministry.
Yes. So upon my return to Houston, I really found my servant's heart. It was, now that I look back, it was always there, but I didn't cultivate it, couldn't identify it.
And you just didn't recognize it.
I didn't recognize it, absolutely. But I've always, since I was a child, have had a heart for the homeless. When I came back to Houston, I started serving vigorously, and among the time that I was serving the homeless, God showed me a need that existed. People donate a lot of times things to the homeless, clothes, shoes, socks. But one need that often goes unlooked is feminine care items for women. And I really just think it's an oversight. People just don't think about it. Right. And when God revealed that to me, he told me to start a ministry. And so I started the ministry later than he told me to because I was trying to figure it all out. I was trying to, chart the path. Yes. And, God says, just go and I will put a light, and I will show you what to do. And so when I finally was just like, okay, God, I'm just going to go and trust you to give me the direction, I started it, and the ministry name is Hem of Hope, from the scripture of when the lady touched the hem of Jesus' garment. And so we provide feminine care items to homeless women.
So beautiful.
So tell everyone, the audience and those watching, how do they find you if they want to help with the ministry, if they want to know about your story? Where do they find you?
So I'm on Facebook, Candice Washington, Candice. If you put responsible adulting next to that, that's how you'll really find me. That's kind of my brand. Hem of Hope is on Facebook and Instagram at Hem of Hope, HEMOFHOPE. And those are the ways that you can find it.
Wonderful.
Find me, find us.
Well, I so thank you. We love you so much.
Love you too.
You are a walking miracle.
Thank you.
And we're so grateful to God that he spared your life for such a time as this to share with the world. Yes. We hope that you have definitely seen the nuggets and seen the power of God's hand in Candice's life. And we're not finished yet. There's more. We'll be right back.
Ready for couch time with Sonja.
One of the most important events in life is having a baby. The closest hospital may not be the best choice for your family. Now, there's Stork Advisor. With Stork Advisor, you can keep your loved ones informed. There's a labor alert right at your fingertips. Stork Advisor even offers you a different pregnancy tip every day. After you've had your baby, tell us about your experience and leave a Stork rating. We want to keep other expecting families like you informed. With Stork Advisor, you can know what to expect when you're expecting.
I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja?
There's nothing complicated about our food. There are no fillers and no artificial ingredients. It's made fresh and it's made with you in mind. Simply put, we make incredible comfort foods. We specialize in that slow, home-cooked taste, whether it's our brisket, smoked chicken, ribs, or links. You're gonna love every bite. We've been perfecting incredible comfort foods for over 10 years, and we've got it down. Great tasting comfort food at a great price. We even cater. So pick up the phone or visit us on Facebook. Be sure and ask about our funnel cakes and our famous sweet and spicy pickles too. It's hard to resist great food, especially when it's incredible comfort foods.
Are you ready for couch time with Sonja?
And we're back. We're going to continue our stories today, all about adversity. We had Candice Washington earlier, but it's not over. We're going to continue now with our next guest, Miss Dawn Keys.
Stay sitting.
Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hello, beautiful.
Hi, lady.
Looking beautiful in that purple today.
Thank you, thank
Come on,
you,
girl.
thank you.
Sit on the couch. Sit
Get
on the
comfy,
couch.
and let's talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we thank you so much for coming today.
No, thank you.
But we know you have an amazing message inside of you today.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we pray that we can bring it out, and we hope that we don't start crying on. But if we do, guess what? We have tissue too.
Great.
We'll be okay.
Well, we're talking about adversity. We're talking about life adversity. But you've had a life-threatening on multiple occasions. And so I really want you just to share your story, share from your heart, start from the beginning, and we're going to listen attentively.
Yes, ma'am. Well, starting in 2009, I started to lose my eyesight in my right eye. That was the first onset of having Chiari malformation, which is where...
Say that again.
Chiari Malformation.
Malformation.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to explain what that is, right?
Yes, ma'am. Chiari malformation is basically where the brain is too big for the skull, so it herniates down your spine. It comes with a plethora of symptoms that are alienating you in various ways. It also leads to hydrocephalus, which I have hydrocephalus as well. I have overcome 3 brain surgeries, the latest being December the 21st of last year, where they installed a shunt. My very first surgery was July the 1st of 2015, where they had to decompress my brain. So basically my brain was so large inside my skull, it was causing so much pressure against the brain stem. I was told by the surgeon that if I would have sneezed too hard, bumped my head, fallen, I would have flatlined. And it was emergency surgery. We went in and they did the decompression. They take out a dollar-sized coin of the skull, and they basically rid all of the herniated brain tissue, which is damaged brain tissue. Wow. So in 2015, I had to start a new journey in life, a journey that was, I felt like I was a stranger in my body. I didn't know what was going to happen. I basically was paralyzed. I needed assistance to do everything. So I went from being a social butterfly, independent single mom, to now basically I felt like I was a vegetable where everyone had to care for me. They had to bathe me, clothe me. I did attend rehab at TIER Rehabilitation Center, and I had to learn how to first just transition from the seat to the chair in order to be mobile and get around to and from my bed and the restroom. Experiencing this, I became lost in my own self. I was confused, didn't know what was going on. My mind was saying, oh, go ahead and just communicate. You see everyone, you could do this, you could do that, and I couldn't do neither. I could barely speak. It was hard for me to communicate. I slurred the words that I wanted to speak. They were here, but they would not come out here. So thank God that I had a great support system. They knew through my body language what I was trying to communicate, what I was trying to say or get around to doing, and the first year was very trying for me. I thought in my mind, okay, I've had this surgery, I've heard all the horror stories about it and how people have dealt with all this crazy stuff going on in their body. Dawn, you're gonna come out of this. You're gonna come out and you're gonna come out strong. Yes. Well, 2015 went on. During 2015, I had my surgery July the 1st, and my father passed away July the 15th. Actually, when they took me back to surgery, my father coded. He flatlined, and they resuscitated him. So my brother, my sister, and my mom was with me, but they had to leave the hospital to go and tend to my father. And on the day he passed, my niece was having leg lengthening surgery because she went through some illnesses when she was an infant, and it caused damages to her body. And on that day that my dad passed, my niece was going through, my family had to deal with me in the hospital, and it was a difficult road. So I became very lost in my spiritual walk. I had all the questions you could possibly think of to God.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
And aren't we thankful that he understands our questions?
Yes.
That he understands that we don't understand his ways all the time, yet he doesn't forsake us. He doesn't ever leave us, and he allows us the room to ask the questions.
Yes. Yes. And it's a blessing to know that I'm his child. Yes. At the time, I'll be honest with you, I felt like he left me. After 2015 passed, I kept having issues. I kept going through ailments within my body that was just too hard for me to bear. I kept telling the physician, something's wrong. My head feels the same way it felt prior to you decompressing my brain. Something's not right. Both of my eyes now were failing me. I couldn't see at all out of the right eye, but my good eye started to have issues. So I went to my neuro-ophthalmologist, and She was like, oh no, we have to hurry and get on the phone and contact your neurosurgeon. There's a mass behind your eye. There's fluid behind your eye. Something is wrong.
So you were telling people something's wrong, but they really were not listening to you at the time.
Yes.
Wow. And so you going to her actually is where she found it, from looking in your eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
My Jesus.
Yes. So we went through another surgery. They had to remove 2 cystic tumors off of my brain. So I'm here, and I'm like, Lord, you left me. You left me. And what's going on? I thought I was going to come out of this strong. I was headstrong and ready to go and tackle what needed to be tackled in the next phase of life, and we're here again. So I'm back at a place where I had to relearn everything all over again. And in the midst of that, I totally forget my dad passed away. So I'm looking to my family, where's Dad? Where is he? He's supposed to be here with me. Every time something's wrong, Dad is by my side. Where is he? Y'all not telling me the truth. Where's my father? And lo and behold, my mom, my sister, and my brother, they came to sit with me and explain, Dawn, your father's not with us anymore. It was difficult for me at the time because he was the strong man. He was the one that helped keep me through. And spiritually, when he seen me go the wrong way, he would say, daughter, I need you to come back this way. I need you to come back. And whenever I needed anything, I never had to say a word. I could just walk up to him and he'll embrace me and he'll let me know, God is with you, Dawn, he didn't leave you. So I was in myself looking for those words. And I heard them through my family, but I wanted them from my earthly father. Well, once my family explained to me what had taken place and what happened, I didn't believe them. My mind was still going through. And luckily, we had video footage, and we watched it together as a family. But I feel that God had me go through that experience to know this was your earthly father, but I'm your heavenly father. And I never left you. I was with you the entire time. And I'm never going to leave you. And that was the year that I actually embraced what God wanted me to do. And I said, Lord, for you I live, for you I'm going to die. Whatever you want me to do, now I'm going to say yes. And it took me to go through those first 2.5 years of traumatic turmoil for me to realize, Dawn, God has a calling on your life. And there's something that he has petitioned you to do since birth. And even though you have gone through some obscure situations, all trouble isn't bad trouble. So I had to begin to smile within so that I could reflect the smile on the outside. And only God did that for me. And it's such a blessing to know that I'm his child and he's never left my side.
Amen. Amen. And yes, you have a beautiful smile.
It's one of the things that I noticed the first time that I met you was that smile.
Oh, thank you. Praise God.
Well, I know that you talked about 3 surgeries.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Of course, there is more. So we want you to know that you've got to come back because there's a 3rd surgery, but there's so much more, and especially to know what she's doing today. So we'll be right back.
Ready for couch time with Sonja.
And then there was life. Born to color outside the lines. Born for such a time as this. You showed up on the planet to produce a dream. You, yes you, were born with purpose, with words. Friends, imagine that your dreams can become your reality by the words you speak. It all starts today. It starts with you. Creation, formation, transformation, all begin with change. The battle is in your mind, but your voice is your weapon. Speak life, believe, prosperity, creative, daring. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Your future is unwritten.
Let's begin writing today. Your words create your world.
Let's be honest. Making a lukewarm marketing video is fairly simple. But who wants lukewarm marketing? Instead, how about something that conveys your unique message? Well, that takes creativity, and creative is what we are. We design custom logos. We even offer professional print services. Our goal is to showcase how good your idea is, no matter what your product is. Whether it's social media marketing for a new author or the artwork for the book itself, we can help. If you've created a new app and need a TV commercial to show it to the world, we can help.
Now there's Stork Advisor.
If you're a photographer trying to show off your work in a unique way, we can help. Need a promo for your TV show? We can help with that too.
It's Couch Time with Sonja.
We're an artistic bunch and we love the creative process. We're not trying to be the best in Houston. We're trying to be the best for you.
Are you ready for Couch Time with Sonja?
We're back as we continue our episode on overcoming adversity. Before we went to break, we heard about Dawn's 2 previous brain surgeries. She has another one coming, so there's more. On top of all of that, she had to deal with the loss of her father. Although it happened once, she didn't remember. So she had to deal again with the grieving and that entire grieving process. Dawn, please continue where we left off, and that was your 3rd surgery, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So 2018, I kept experiencing more head trauma, and I went to my physicians, and we've been going through rotating my medication, and I was, of course, in therapy, and it wasn't working. So November the 28th, I was on my own in HEB and almost fell. And someone had to come aid me to the chair, and I calmed down, and I was like, okay, maybe my blood pressure's too high, don't get it together. I was embarrassed because I've come this far, and I feel like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Something's not right. So I calmed down, finished my transaction, get in the car, and I'm like, Dawn, the back of your head feels like it's about to pop, just like it did in 2015. So I called my mom, and I'm like, I don't feel too good, I don't feel right, but I'm gonna let you know we're going to the hospital. I've already contacted the neurosurgeon's nurse and my PCP, and both of them have said, go to the emergency room.
You were being
now.
proactive
Yes,
because you knew how you felt.
Yes, ma'am. So we went back to the hospital, and of course the hospital is not close. I have to always go to the same hospital that has done my previous surgeries. So we had to transport to the medical center, and when we get there, they're running all these tests where we don't find anything yet, and then they did my MRI and CAT scan, and they did a lumbar puncture. I've had a total of 10 lumbar punctures throughout this course of the time. And they're very painful.
Yes.
And you have to lay still for like 24 hours afterwards, and I dread getting them because they hurt so bad. Right. Well, in the discovery, there was pressure on my brain. So my neurosurgeon said, we want you to come into the office to see us. We're going to keep you for a couple of days, watch you, come see us, and we're going to go ahead and schedule your surgery. And his words were, we're going to stop playing with this. And I felt like inside, playing, you mean that you could have did this a long time ago and helped me? Like, here it is, you're going to have to go back in my brain again. And at first, I was headstrong, very positive, and at peace with them doing it because I was ready for the relief. I needed it.
Right.
But then a couple of days prior to surgery, I was scared. And I said, Lord, I don't know where this fear has come from, but I honestly feel that this is it for me. And if this is my last run, I'm going to make the best of it before this is it for me. And I was like, okay, everybody else is positive with you going through having this surgery, and this surgery is where they emplaced a shunt. On December the 21st, 2018, they installed a machine that basically sits on behind my ear, on my brain, and it's to treat the hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is an extended amount of fluid that accumulates on the brain.
You literally just had this surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was going to say. This was just weeks ago.
December the 21st. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
What a walk-in miracle.
God is good.
Yes,
Amen.
God is good.
He really is good.
And you are sitting here and no one would know. That's the power of you don't look like what you've walked through.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
Come on.
He's
Wow,
awesome.
he is
And
a good God.
words can't convey the gratitude that I have to him for what he has done in my life. I know that it seems a lot when people hear my story, but I'm grateful to have Kiari. Kiari has allowed me to draw closer to God. I would say this was my road of Damascus. I had to go through this journey of drought, loneliness, fear, everything that you could possibly imagine to realize just how great God is. And when I look back over my life and I'm able to see, Don, God has not brought you through one, not two, but three.
Come on, Don.
You were out. You were out.
Yes.
And what happened? He taught you how to get back up. He gave you the fight. But one thing I didn't understand, I still asked God, why though? Why me? Why am I experiencing all of this turmoil year after year after year? I know you didn't birth me to be where I am now. I know that there's so much more greater because Jeremiah 29:11 says, for I know the plans that I have for you. And that, when I read the scripture again and again and again, I said, Lord, this story isn't about Dawn. This has nothing to do with me. This is the avenue that you've given me to give me a voice to speak for other people who have gone through disabling issues in their life. And they're not always physical. We as people go through things every day that causes us to run away from God or cause us to either run to God. And I feel that in me sharing my story, I'm able to not only just share my smile, but I'm able to share the goodness of God and how he's been in my life and how I know he could be in someone else's life. And that's what I was born to do. So this illness, it's a lot. It's a bit much for anyone to have to experience. But knowing the glory that God is to receive in this is far more greater than what I've experienced this past 5 years.
I love what you've said and your transparency, and that at one point you were running away from God because you didn't understand why, and then on the other side of that you ran to him and you literally laid everything at his feet, at the feet of Jesus, and you trusted him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have, how old is your son?
My son.
Look at that smile.
My son, David Michael, he's 14 years old. And when I tell you he is a joy to me, throughout this whole journey, my whole family has been very supportive. But my son was right there, like, coaching me. I would always say, hey, you're going to roll me to the park, because I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. And I would say, you're going to roll me to the park when you get home from school? And he says, no, you're going to stop saying I'm going to roll you to the park. You're going to say, I'm going to walk you to the park. Because that's you speaking in faith that this is going to happen one day. And I said, this little boy is telling me what to do. But it helped me. It helped me.
Tell me his name again.
His name is David.
I thought so. I just wanted to hear it again.
David, yes. Beloved one of God. David Michael is what his name. And he's truly a joy to me. And I'm grateful to God for the many people that have been in my life, because God equipped the right people to be in my life at the right time to help pick me up when I was down and in the dark tunnel. And through it, my mission, my passion, my drive, and my goal in life is to share my smile in any way I possibly can. And a smile isn't just something that crosses your face. Yes. A smile is a hug, a listening ear, a prayer with a loved one, a friend, a token of love, flowers. A smile is any version that you want it to be, as long as it comes from the heart and you give God glory for whatever it is that you're doing, because we are his servants.
Yes, we are.
We are his vessels and his temples, and we're to be used by him for him to receive all the glory.
Come on, Dawn. Girl, you're preaching, you know that, right?
Yes.
Well, I know that your smile is much more. It is all of that. But there's something special that you actually started doing through all of this.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's actually your business/ministry.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd love for you to just tell our audience the name of your business/ministry.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us a little bit about it. And we have some particular things we're going to show today as well.
The name of my business is Shared Smiles by DM, stands for Dawn Michelle or David Michael. And it's where we share our journey, our smiles to others, and just let them know how good God is.
Doesn't that sound like
Yes.
your story matters?
Absolutely.
Which is our motto here, your story matters.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
doing that through your business, through your ministry, and I think that's beautiful. But I think you need to see. Of course, we only have two particular things. You have to go to her website, and I want you to tell them what your website is.
Yes, ma'am.
But you have to go to her website to see the magnitude of really what all she does. And you need to see it in person because it's absolutely beautiful. This is a stylus, which you can use on your computer, your iPad, your phone. And I want you to see this is hand done. And of course, we're going to make sure that our camera guy zooms in close enough to see this because the detail in what she crafts by hand. Now, the beautiful thing is, yes, these are beautiful. This is a pen. This is a stylus. And there's so many more. You can have them custom done. She has particular things. She has journals. She has so many different things. But these are custom done by her hand. Now, the value and the power of that is 3-time brain surgery. The miracle is that God touched her to where she is able to do with her hands. Still today, which I call that a total miracle.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is actually how you are not only just giving back, but you have also sustained. This is what you do full time.
Yes, ma'am, it is. And on the flip side, we go out, we meet all kind of Kiarians every day. So I make special gifts for them and ship them out to them all the way from the United States to Australia.
Wow.
And it's been a blessing just to see them smile, seeing the gifts that we're able to give them through their journeys.
I know you have been a blessing to me today. You know, we think life gets hard. We think our challenges are difficult. To hear the challenges that the adversity you and our previous guest Candace went through makes mine seem so tiny. So thank you for being such a blessing today.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
definitely want you to
Praise
share your social media outlets, also your website. And then I want you to speak because I know that you actually, what's the name again of the group that you support? It's your disease,
Kiari.
Kiari. I want to make sure I say that
Yes, ma'am.
correct. When we end at the very end, I know that someone is watching that may be living with that exact, what they call ailment
Yes, ma'am.
today. I want you to speak to them at the very end.
Yes,
So please share your social media and website as well.
My social media handle is Shared Smiles by DM, and my website is www.sharedsmilesbydm. And come and visit us, share your story with us. We would love to speak with you, talk with you, and share the blessings that God has for us all on our journeys.
So beautiful. And then what would you leave? What word of encouragement would you leave to those who are walking and living with the same situation as you today?
Anyone that is living with Kiari malformation or anything that is going on in their life, I want to encourage you today that no matter how dark your road may appear to be or how difficult life may seem for you, trust and believe that God is with you. He'll never leave you and he'll never fail you. And embrace the love of God for him to carry you through your journey. It's not the end of your road and you will come out victorious.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Yes. This has been one amazing episode. I'll definitely let you know we're full. We've seen the glory of God sitting here on this set. when both of our guests. And we hope that you have been empowered, encouraged to know that no matter what you're walking through the day, that it's something that you're going to walk through, but you're going to come through it on the other side. Our God is a good God, and he's always there for you. We hope and pray that you'll see us on the next episode, because of course, it's always good. God bless you.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja? I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja? Sometimes you need to hear something that will help you grow, or maybe need a break, refreshing for your mind and soul. Well, take a seat, cause we got what you need and more. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Are you ready for couch time with Sonja?
It's couch time with Sonja. Let's go.